Poop. Hey guys, it's Sluggy, and today is the YouTube collaboration artwork that we're releasing. So yeah, except this image has 99 problems, but being done ain't one. So congrats to me, because this was all traditional, which is crazy. Okay, so this first part, with the watercolor, pretty much this first half of this video is pointless because I go over like everything with color pencils in the end, which is, because I had to salvage it, okay? If this thing's gonna be on a store, like, I had to get it done at some point. But anyway, so yes, here I am expertly using watercolors to make gradients. Guys, this was a new thing for me. This was I was like, oh yeah, look at this. Yeah, so I from what I've studied and from what I've learned from watching other YouTubers, you're supposed to layer artwork, and a lot of you gave me advice in the last video to get a like a hair dryer or like a heat thingy. So that should be able to help me with my waiting for it to dry patience. But I ran into another problem, which is I was having a lot of trouble with patience when it comes to layering. I was just so ready to get to the actual values and the colors that I wanted. I guess I just still am not super sure how light to layer every time, but I did my best. And also, for those of you who know watercolor really well, please don't yell at your computer screen too much, because I'm sure I'm butchering this beautiful medium. I was completely guessing and winging everything, which was a lot of fun and a lot of pressure off of me, but then also a lot of pressure because this is supposed to stand up aside all the other amazing art that the other girls are doing who are part of the YouTube Artist Collective. I'll be putting in the links of their videos in my description as they release them. So, of course, everyone, please go check those out. Although, really, they're the behemoths and I'm the little fish. But anyway, so yeah, this was pretty cool. This was fun, but it was also terrifying as usual. Also, there's like I said, this thing's got 99 problems, but I ain't gonna talk about them in case you don't notice. I'm just gonna keep quiet and hopefully nothing is wrong in your eyes. So yeah, I'm trying to add gradients. That's what I was trying to do with this one. I was really trying to practice kind of getting gradients down with watercolors. I mean, I still have a lot of room to grow, but I was getting the handle of it. I feel I was trying to do that in the leaves where it's a lot darker at the bottom. I think it'll be more obvious later on, but it'll be a lot darker in the bottom than it is at the top. Oh, and if you haven't guessed, I'm obviously drawing a centaur as my mythical creature. So yeah, and now I'm just trying to get the colors the way I wanted. I had a lot of hard time getting the kind of saturation that I wanted out of these watercolors. My set did not come with a purple, so I just did my best with color mixing red and blue. Unfortunately though, when you do that, it really desaturates a color because it's opposite sides of the spectrum on the color wheel, and so it's not going to make a bright purple. It's going to make what's in between red and blue across the wheel, which is a kind of grayish purple. Either that or I'm just a complete noob. Either one, I'm okay with whatever answer. I'll figure it out in the future. But I do want to eventually, if I really end up liking watercolors, I would like to invest in nicer ones where I could have maybe more range of colors. So that's actually kind of the big reason too why I eventually I knew I was gonna use a lot of color pencils for details, but that's mostly why it ended up being pretty much the whole thing, color pencils in the end, is because I wanted to make sure that I got the saturation I was looking for. Like a lot, like for example, in the sky, it's still very desaturated. I was not super happy with that. And also just the ground, I think it could have been way brighter. But the pinks though, I was really liking how bright those are. That felt just the right amount. And so I actually didn't really go over much there, except for when I put in purple shadows, just because I don't have very good purples, which is great, really smart on my part that I chose to do on a pretty much purple dominant image, purplish pink dominant image, and I did not have purple. So way to go, Katie. But you know, I don't think it turned out horrible. It's definitely have a lot of room for improvements, but I think it's all right. And even though I ended up going over with color pencil a lot, I'm glad that I used watercolor in the beginning. One, for practice, of course, and two, I think because I had this base greens and purples underneath, I actually think that helped enhance the saturation of the color pencils as well. It made it also like a lot nicer, I think, when I don't know the term, burnishing, where you're just like pressing really hard to get a lot of the whites out underneath the paper out. Well, I think mine ended up looking, or it was easier to burnish because it wasn't stark white at the bottom of the paper. And so I'm glad that it wasn't all for nothing. So here I'm starting to go into with watercolor. Color pencil. And yeah, that area with the face, I just wouldn't dare touch with detailing with watercolor. That's like the money maker over there. So I wasn't gonna mess it up with watercolors, just not for this piece, not when it's, you know, a collab piece. So yeah, and I'm just going and I'm starting to work on the face, and usually I work on the face last, but I knew that this was kind of like, I had to get this done, and I wanted to make sure the face looked as good as possible. I was working on this pretty late, and so if I got tired, I wanted to make sure that the face looked bomb. And so, yeah, and I ended up doing a little bit of a line art around everything, just because, again, like I had some also trouble with values. I'm still learning a lot. If I did this piece digitally, I think it would look pretty different. And, you know, I had the crutch of using things like the hue saturation slider where I could check my values. While I couldn't really do that here, of course, I'm sure there are ways where traditional artists can do that. I should actually do some research on that. But so I ended up using outlines on some of, like, mostly around her and the tree, just to make it clear, you know, two separate shapes, which I know is a little bit of a cheat, or kind of like an easy getaway, but I don't know, I kind of ended up liking how that looks. I think it matches the style overall. I do like how the purple shadows ended up. I'm not a huge fan of the shadows underneath her. Like, that was just a mess. It's okay. Moving on to the next mistake. Yeah, so I'm just trying to darken her background, you know, behind the tree, because I'm trying to make sure that the highest level of contrast is around her face and behind her head. So there's this triangle point around her head that what I'm hoping is where your eye is drawn to. Although it's not perfect for sure. But it's okay. Still, I'm putting in some details on the ground. I'm using color pencils again for that. And eventually the whole ground and the whole sky area is going to get replaced by color pencils again, just so I can get that saturated look. And yeah, oh no, Messenger, go away. I'm also trying to fix up the values on the tree. I wanted it to be a white tree, like it's white leaves, and eventually I'm gonna use jelly roll to make it seem like they're glowing. But I didn't want it to look flat though. Like if I just kept it, go away. If I just kept it white, I think it would just look much too flat, and it just looked a little bit jarring compared to everything else. I mean, I'm not using crazy like gradation, like for example on the tree root there, I'm using it looks kind of cell shaded, so I wanted to make sure it was similar, but I guess I was trying out just a lot of different stuff in this one. Oh my god, Messenger. So I'm trying to darken up some areas on the tree without darkening it too much, because again, like I wanted to make sure it was clear that this is a white colored tree. It had white leaves, and so yeah, girl. All right, I'm burnishing that ground. Actually with the color pencil, I think I was able to fix the shadow underneath her a little bit, so it's less, I don't know, poopy. I'm adding some more outlines around the tree too to make sure that it's separating from each other, like the different branches, I guess, or like the different parts where the tree or the leaves are falling from. So here I am. This part was just heart-wrenching and terrifying. Adding the jelly roll pen onto, just around the tree, like making a little bit of this like glowing halo around the leaves. I just wanted to make it seem like this was this magical tree forest. And in Photoshop, I would have been able to use the just like a soft brush tool, but this is what I just ended up using because I don't have an airbrush system, but I think it worked out all right. Anyway, this is the end, and here is the final picture. I hope you guys liked it, and the music. Okay, there we go. All right, thanks guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!